All right, so in this video, Pastor Benny is detailing the secret, the reasons, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine war. According to the man of God, this particular war seems to be having some prophetic significance relating to the word of God and the promise from the Holy Scriptures to Christians and to every one of us. Take a look at this video, turn on the bell notification icon, subscribe and like this video to get yourself updated always concerning trending matters in God's kingdom.
Let me talk a little more about this, and I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say. All right, so the situation with Russia. Why? Well, because Putin does not want the Ukraine to be a part of NATO. Why? Well, because in his eyes, NATO is the enemy. Think about this. When a nation in Europe becomes a part of NATO, then they are under the control of NATO militarily. So, for the Ukraine to become a part of NATO, it means NATO will move its missiles closer to Russia. You got that? So let's just say that the Soviet Union years ago, because they don't exist no more, but let's say they brought missiles and put them on the border of Canada and the U.S. How would the U.S. respond to Soviet missiles on its northern border? Or let's say the Soviet Union used Mexico to have missiles aimed at, the U.S. How would the U.S. respond? They wouldn't let it happen. You all remember when J.F. Kennedy stopped Khrushchev from putting Cuba, what was called the Cuban Missile Crisis, nearly caused a war because the Soviet Union under Khrushchev wanted to put missiles in Cuba, and they had a blockade. They stopped them from doing it, and it was a very tense time for the world, but then things calmed down. So Putin is saying, wait a minute, you won't let me put missiles on your border. Why are you putting them on mine? So now you have Sweden, Finland, and the Ukraine that are being told by Putin, don't you dare join NATO. So it's not just one country, it's three of them. Because he doesn't want missiles on his borders. Now, I'm only speaking prophetically how it fits. I'm not interested in this political thing that's going on because it's really politics and more than that. But people have got to understand how it fits prophetically. Now, there's a lot of reasons I'm not giving you for why the war is happening. Well, one of them, I can tell you, if the Ukraine becomes a part of the EU, Russia loses its breadbasket. So do you want to lose your breadbasket if you're a country? Okay. So that's the way he's thinking. He's saying, wait a minute, you're taking away from me my food, and my economy will diminish. Let me ask you something, Captain. If California leaves the U.S. of A., would you like it?
No.
Why?
It's part of our family.
But really why? Like, what's the real reason you'd be upset? It'll affect your pocketbook, that's why. 14.7% of the U.S. economy comes from California. Almost 15%. Yeah, 15% of our economy comes from one state called California. So if California decides to leave the U.S. of A., how would we respond? It will affect jobs. It'll affect the economy. It'll affect our food. It'll affect everything. We would all be screaming, do something about it. Well, the Ukraine is supplying Russia with way more than 14.7% of their economy when it comes to it's the breadbasket, because Russia is too cold. As you go north, it gets cold. You can't sow and reap as quickly, huh? So when Hitler invaded Russia, what did he aim for first? The Ukraine. Why? Food, oil, food supply for his army. So people have got to understand first the political before and the economical before they understand the prophetic. How can they understand the prophetic if you don't get first? Let's look at the picture politically why it's happening, so at least I can be informed, and what's happening economically, so I can be informed. Now that we at least know some of the stuff, why? Let's look at the prophetic. Well, the prophetic means that now the United States is diminishing in deterrence. It's all about deterrence. In the world, it's all about deterrence. Why? Well, because nations rise and fall dependent on deterrence. You deter a nation from attacking you by being strong. It's called deterrence. Okay, how did the Cold War end? Remember Gorbachev and Reagan in Reykjavik, back in Iceland? What was it about Reagan that Gorbachev saw that made him give up his expansion of his nuclear program? And how they think strength then peace, because weakness means war. So you have to negotiate from strength. You cannot negotiate from weakness in the world, of course. So when President Sadat of Egypt, wanted to make peace with Israel, he had to win a war to be accepted as a peacemaker.
So just as Pastor Benny Hinn was giving us the explanation, the details, what was the cause, how they began this whole war or conflict, and how the whole thing is going. And then he gives us again prophetically concerning the future, the things which are to unfold. Remember that I've already told you that Pastor Benny Hinn said that this war is linked to scriptures prophetically, that it has something to do with the promises of God to the world, with the promises of God to Christians, to the promises of God to the world, that they may believe that the word of the Lord is sure, that they may believe that the word of the Lord is true, that they may believe the word of the Lord is so true that there is no false story or no lies, or nobody has ever formulated anything concerning the word of the Lord. As this war is ongoing, I've seen many people attacking one another, even when you make an opportunity or you decide to pray that the war may cease. You decide to pray that there may be peace. Some people may term you as a hypocrite Christian. Why did you not pray when America invaded Libya and they executed Muammar Gaddafi? Why is it that when it's now concerning Ukraine and Russia, you are busy praying and you are busy asking God for peace or God to interfere? Now, just as Pastor Benny Hinn told us, prophetically, if you have understood what he's saying, then you will get to a point where you should be frightened, you should be afraid, you should be panicking, you should be wondering that is the world coming to an end? Is the world coming to an end? Or what is exactly happening? What is exactly going on? What is exactly coming to the world? What may unfold next? Now, prophetically, he has revealed to us even the World Bank from some time now may stop working, which means that people may not have access to cash out money, to withdraw, or even the banking system shall be shut down. And that is why he mentioned something like sowing or believing in the economy of heaven. And you know, whenever there is war, or whenever there is war going on, whatever the nation is, one of the things that will surely experience suffering is, first of all, the economy of the nations. And in this video, we see that Pastor Benny Hinn mentioned the whole issue has to do with the economy. Because when nations are fighting nations, obviously you must understand that, you know, the investment of other people in other banks, the investment of other businesses, the investment of other businesses or work or object or any other form of idea cannot proceed. And because of that, because of these reasons, they may not be able to continue to working. They may not be able to do things, and you know that we won't experience the normal kind of life again when there is war. We won't experience the normal kind of life that we are used to. For example, going about your business, going about wherever you wish, your family, your children, marriage, other things, relationship, or any other thing you are pursuing. As long as there is war, or as long as there is conflict and other nations are at the moment exchanging of bullets and weapons and firearms, you understand that many other things cannot proceed. It is only war that has the ability or power to stabilize or stop the purpose of life. Even though days may pass by, time might be going, but the activities of life and what life is about cannot proceed further because of what is happening, because of what is going on, and because of things that are happening. These are the reasons why any other person who believes in God, believes in the calling of God, believes in what God has called you for, or whatever you stand for, when you go on your knees, you must be able to pray and intercede and ask God that God comes through, so that at the end of the day, peace may be established and there may be understanding between these two nations. Because if the war should trigger further, you will understand that Russia has other nations that are backing them in this war, and the same way that Ukraine has other nations that are equally backing them. So with these two other things, you must understand that this war can trigger to the Third World War, which can be the most mass destruction ever, which can be the most dangerous war ever, which can even affect some of us. So it is more important, it's very, very important that all of us must go on our knees and pray to God and ask God that He makes a way for us, and ask God that at the end of it, this particular war will come to an end. Because even if when you study the nations that are supporting Russia in this battle, China is part of them, and many other nations are equally supporting, which can support them or grant them the power to fight on or to keep fighting. So it is not a matter of joke, but I believe that we can pray to God, believe in God, and ask God to interfere or to intervene, that at the end of it all, there might be peace, and at the end of it all, the matter shall surely be settled and all shall be well with our nation. So just as Pastor Benny Hinn was giving us the explanation, the details, what was the cause, how they began this whole war or conflict, and how the whole thing is going. And then he gives us again prophetically concerning the future, the things which are to unfold. Remember that I've already told you that Pastor Benny Hinn said that this war is linked to scriptures prophetically, that it has something to do with the promises of God to the world, with the promises of God to Christians, to the promises of God to the world, that they may believe that the word of the Lord is sure. That they may believe that the word of the Lord is true. That they may believe the word of the Lord is so true that there is no false story or no lies, or nobody has ever formulated anything concerning